Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Welcome once again to another episode of the Kingdoms podcast. And today I have with me a very special guest. I have with me an important woman. She's an economist, she's a fashion brand entrepreneur. She is Becky Obehi. How are you, Becky?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing too?
I'm good. I'm good. I can't complain. Thank God the Great British weather is getting better. We're
Nice.
getting more sunlight, right? Somebody said recently, I can see now that I wasn't depressed. It was the weather. you know, with brighter weather comes, more happiness, and you have more vitamin D.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys have it a lot over there in Nigeria, and you
It's
complain that
good.
it's too much.
Good. It's good.
Oh wow. Okay. So just before I hit the record button, right? I
Mm-hmm.
was talking about your name, Obehi, and I was like, "That's the hand of God."
Yes.
Then you're like, "Oh, you're from Edo." I'm like, "So you don't know?" Okay. So my middle name is Isimeme,
No.
right?
Nice.
So my mom is actually Edo,
Okay.
like yourself. Where in Edo State are you from?
Ishan. Urumi.
Oh wow, wow, wow. But yeah.
Oh, free.
Okay, wow, interesting, interesting, nice. So, it's nice to have my Edo sister on the pod today. So let's start from the beginning, right? So, how's your childhood like? And how do you think your childhood shaped, the adult that you are today?
No. So I was raised in a family of seven. I'm the last born. And my parents,
Wow,
yes. My
last
parents
one. I was gonna the instinct was just to attack you right away, like you be the
no, please,
last one.
please, please. I'm not.
You're
I'm
last
not
one, and
like
I'm the
other
first
last
one.
born. I'm just different. Just hear me out first, please.
Okay, okay,
so
interesting.
so I'm the last born. I wasn't pampered, if that's what you were thinking. I
That is what
was.
they say. That is what they all
I,
say.
I, so I grew up in a family of seven. I'm the last, and my parents were very strict, extremely strict. Growing up, the discipline. Then I used to think that it was torture while I was growing up, but seriously, right now, I can't be more grateful. With the way my parents raised me. Like, as grown as I am living alone, I'm free. There are still things that I wouldn't dare to do. It's not like anybody's gonna flog me or whatever, but I just wouldn't dare to do it because it's just my mindset here is just totally changed, right?
Hmm.
So yeah.
Uh, Interested. The African home training advantage, right?
hmm hmm
I get to meet some
I was
people, and they
I
say,
was I
I've
was
done this, but
disciplined.
my home training is telling me not to do it. So you're one of
That's
those
it.
people.
hmm
Uh, Interesting. But then, like while growing up, who were the figures that inspired you the most? And, who were those people who were your early life influences?
Oh, my mom. Right from when I was a child, my mom was a civil servant. She was a teacher. So I've been looking up to her since I looked up to her since while I was growing up till now. She's okay. We'll get there, but it's just my mom.
Okay, you just mentioned we will get there. Okay, so let us get let us get there. So aside from your mom, right, which is that
hmm
major influence, they say in Africa it takes a
hmm
village to raise a child, right?
Right,
You
right.
do agree with that. So like, who were those other influences around you growing up, and what
My
were their contributions?
Yeah, I would say my elder siblings, my elder sister, and my pastor. They were a really really great influence on me. Like whatever I am right now today, it's them. Right. So yeah.
Wow, interesting. So, like, you have this incredibly diverse, background. You're an economist, you are an entrepreneur, you're an author, right? Like breaking this, pieces. These are just like parts of who you are, like functions within your personality and your journey, right? But then it all
Mhm.
started from, that childhood. But then can you walk us through your journey, the academic background and transitioning into business? How has the journey been, and how did the journey pan out for you?
It's been amazing so far. Um, I while I finished my secondary school, I got admission, and then I was in school. I was reading. Initially, I didn't want to read economics. My mom wanted me to go into law. She wanted me to be a lawyer, all right?
Oh,
But I didn't
just
really like literature that much, so I just didn't go through that line. So eventually, I got Nigeria University. They gave me economics. It wasn't what I wanted.
oh
They gave
wow! Just when I was so proud of you that you studied economics like me,
no,
and then you are
no,
you are saying they gave
no,
it to
no,
you. Come on, it's nice.
no.
It's
My
like
what I wanted
well
to study was
deserved.
HRM. I wanted to study human resources management, but I was given
Wow,
economics, so I just
wow.
took it. And
You are doing
then
something great.
yeah,
But that, let me interrupt you a bit, right?
no,
My
that's fine.
my own mom as well at some point was telling me to study law, but do you want to know why I refused to study law?
Bye.
Because it's a 5-year course. I
Yeah.
don't I don't I don't like something that is too long.
Mm-hmm,
Economics, 4 years, yeah,
mm-hmm.
made sense. So I went for that. Sorry to interrupt you.
It's fine. It's fine. So economics, it was good. Then I graduated. In my final year was when I learned how to sew. So in my final year I didn't have lots of classes. It was just 3 times a week. It's
Mm,
more of like, okay, after school, what next? Because this is Nigeria. It's not like you have a job out there waiting for you. So it was just me
sure, the fact.
looking at, ahead. So I was like, okay, after school, what next? And right from when I was a child, I love fashion. I love it. It started from, dressing up dolls, dolls when I
Yeah,
was
the
5 years
mannequins,
old.
right?
Exactly. No, yeah, mannequins, just little dolls. You get Barbie dolls and all of that. I make clothes for them, and then they just fit, and then I just pair them together, whatever. So when I was growing up, I just love fashion, going to church, dressing nice. I just looking good. And then after I graduated, in my final year was when I learned how to sew. That full year I learned it. Then after I graduated, I was like, okay, I could be making these clothes for myself. It wasn't really something that I wanted to be doing, you know, for others or as a business or a profession. I just had in mind that I want to work office job. That was my intention. Although I did at some point, but that decision right there it's really, really helping me till now. I was indecisive then if I should learn, if I shouldn't learn, but I'm grateful that I did. So today I have a clothing brand, and so far it's been good. So yeah, that's it.
Interesting. So you spoke briefly about, the 9 to 5 thing,
Yeah.
and also transitioning into your own business. I don't know if you follow sports at all, right? But then
Mhm,
my favorite fighter is Ola Sonya. He said something recently. He said that he doesn't really celebrate his birthday, but he
mhm,
celebrates like important milestones in his life. And one important milestone he celebrates in his life is the day he finally made that bold decision to quit his 9 to 5 job to
mm.
chase his dream.
Alhamdulillah.
So, would you say that is also an important milestone for you, like deciding to chase your dream of building your own empire, right? And
Mhm.
what would you say, like, gave you that courage, or what was that, point at which you felt convinced that I'm going to quit this to chase this? So can you like shed more light on that part of your journey?
So after I graduated, I few months after I graduated, I got a job. in Abuja. So I relocated from Edo State to Abuja. It was real estate, digital marketing. So I went for training for a few months. Yeah, for a few months, and then before I was employed fully. While I was working, I wanted to do this. I even started the whole clothing brand while I was working. I was just like, okay, it could be a side hustle, you know? So when I started, it wasn't something that I planned that to be very big. I'll just, release a design once a week, and then we'll just see who will patronize, right? So I launched, and then the first week I made an outfit. I brought it out online, and then the sales was massive. A lot of people wanted to buy, right? A lot. So weekends I go to work Monday to Friday, and then weekends I just make clothes, right? Though my pay was really good, it was good. I loved my job, but at some point I was just more of into like the clothing brand. There was, I think, I was just, see, the thing is, I always look ahead. I was like, okay, this might, it's not like, this might be big, with the way this thing is going. It's just been a few months, and I'm making this much, not so much, but something. So what if I'm bigger? I sponsor this. I'm serious with this. Then it's going to. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm quitting. So I just quitted, and then I focused fully on fashion. That was
Hmm.
it.
And then there's been no going back
No.
since then.
I did not regret that decision one bit. For real.
Wow,
I did.
interesting.
Yeah.
So, like your advice to young people right now, I think you're one of
Please,
those.
whatever you love doing and you're good at it, please go for it. Pursue it. Keep pursuing. Don't deviate. Just there. That's where it is. That's where it is.
Hmm, interesting.
That's
But
my advice.
life has its own complexities, its own curveballs and all, right? But then,
Mm-hmm.
like, what are the challenges that you faced in the journey of creating your own brand?
Oh, okay. At first I would say I think fear. I was scared, right? First of all, having to open a clothing brand doesn't require a whole lot, but you need money. You need to buy machines, mannequins, register a business, get materials. Financially, I had challenges there, and then I was scared. What if this doesn't work out? Especially the part of finance. I was earning, but not so much to start it up. So that was just my challenge, finance. But God has a way of doing His things. So I put through. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So you were able to pull through. So you would say like the major challenge was just the capital, raising
Yeah.
capital,
Finance, the
right?
capital. Yeah. That's the word. Yeah.
Okay, okay. But then there is always that defining point, that defining moment that reshapes, your career direction as a person, as a professional, as an entrepreneur. You hit a particular moment, and this is for me, right? Sometimes it might be one major contract, right? Like you mentioned, at some point you discovered that okay, if this can be this big, how about if I'm able to make it bigger? But
Mm-hmm.
is there like any defining moment for you? Is there like any major moment at which you became convinced or you knew this is really for me? Share with us.
So exactly a year ago, May last year, there was this design that I released. It was a trouser, a pant. A
Mm,
pants. I tagged it. I named it Fab Pants. That's a full trouser. So
mm,
where I got the design from, it's not like I kind of like did the same thing. So it was more of like an inspiration. So I got the
mm,
idea of okay, I could maybe a trended picture, a picture that's trended that a lot of people have seen. I could take that picture, create the same look, you know, grids together, pixemies together, and post it, like recreate an outfit, make it a little bit different.
mm,
So it was a pants I saw online. It was very, very nice. A lot of people it was trending. So I took a picture, and then I got the material. I made the exact same pants, and then wore it and took a picture, posted it online, and then boom, I had lots of sales on that particular outfit. I didn't even sponsor. I didn't do any sponsored ad or whatsoever.
Wow.
You know, people were just patronizing on and on and on. We sold about more than 100 pieces of that same pant till now. That was like a year ago. So that was like a bestseller for us, and it was huge.
Wow.
I think that was it.
Interesting.
Could make something, and then somebody's like, okay, a friend might want to make this too, and all of that. So that was just it.
I think you just
Exactly.
keep
Yeah.
getting referrals and referrals and referrals. And
Still. Still.
okay, like if this one can hit, right? But then sometimes you have one hit wonders,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? But like I like you rightly said previously, the fear thing was probably a factor, but you were able to overcome your fears
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
go on to chase
Mhm.
what you really were passionate about, right? Earlier on, you talked about, in the course of your childhood, church. You
Oh.
talked about, you talked about church, right? Like, so it means you have that God factor for you, right?
I
Like,
was a church girl. I was a church girl. I was born in the church. Like literally, I grew up in the church, right? I was a church girl from childhood, chorister, children choir, to
mhm.
youth choir, to youth escort. I was in church all through until I got admission to school. So that was where it all just changed. I'm not saying that I stopped going to church, but like I deviated a little bit. I deviated a little.
Okay, but then, like, what would you say about the God factor for you in your life and in the things that you do? Like, how much of your success do you attribute to the God factor, and what's your advice to people in terms of connecting to to God in terms of everything that they do?
So the thing is, I don't think this can be emphasized enough. God do come through. He does. And I would say this over and over again. No matter how far you've gone, right? No matter how down you've been, or how whatever you've been through, he's always there. He sees us through. Even when you think he's not there, he is. Right. And I saw this a write up online. When no matter how much you step away from God, it takes just one step to come back to him. So that's just it. God is faithful, and whatever you want, it might not be what He wants for you. Doesn't mean that life isn't going to be good. He has the perfect say, or the final say in our life. So then point, God is good. God is faithful.
Hmm. Interested. So, in terms of your journey as a business owner now, like you created your brand, when did you create the brand? Like, when did you start the company proper?
No, it was 2022. 20,
2022. Wow. So
yeah.
within one, that's pretty
It's
much like about 2 years,
a year
right?
and a half now. No, a year and a half. A year and a half. It
Wow.
was ending of 2022. I think
Wow.
November. Yeah, November 2022. So it's just a year and a half. I think a year and 6 months now.
So in this thing called life, a lot can happen. Like a lot can change for a person in
Right.
a very, very short period of time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. I'm really, really, really proud of you. But within, this short period of time, let's talk about running a business, because I understand that in Nigeria, it's really tough, you know, running a business. Nigeria is one of those countries that doesn't have a very strong enabling environment for, business owners, for
Mm-hmm.
employers of labor. But how do you navigate the system, and what would you say have been like the major constraints, the major hurdles you've had to face in running, your business successfully? And like, what advice do you have for other young people looking to be business owners and be successful in the Nigerian business terrain?
You see, everything about business, Nigeria, I think everything is just networking. See, get to meet people. It is very, very important. You see the word, there is a word they say support doesn't come from familiar faces. To some extent, that is true. Not fully true, but to some extent. If you network, you get to meet people. It's I think from there is the start off point. No matter the kind of business that you are running, just get to meet the right people. That's it for me, I think.
Meeting the right people. So, what would you say are your core business and values? Like the
Sorry.
principles. I said your core business values, the principles by which you run your business, right? So, what principles would you say you have adopted so far? And, they're working for you.
Okay, for me, mine is just strictly online for now. I don't have a showroom yet. It's something that I am working on, but so far it's been good getting people to order online. It has to do with a lot of trust. You know, getting to relate with your clients, and yeah, that's it.
So you'd say trust is that
Yeah,
important principle
very very
for.
important, and get to relate with your clients. Yeah.
Hmm, interesting, interesting. I used to work with an organization, and one of the core values, or I think one of like the mission statements was like building trust in society. Like that alone is very, very important in business. When you build trust in business, people are able to identify your brand as a reliable brand. Yeah, that's a great one, right? But so far and so good, right? Celebrating success is actually essential. Like, what would
Yeah.
you consider to be your greatest achievement so far, like in business and your personal life thus far?
My greatest achievement so far is publishing a book. Right.
Ah,
So
interested,
yeah, so
interested.
I have a book. I'm a writer. I have a book, but I've just published just one. So I started writing a long time, from poems to spoken words to articles, and then from there, I didn't even the intention was not to like write and publish, but something happened. I had the traumatic experience, and then I just was like, okay, I need to put this out there. So I wrote. It took a lot of time. People that write, see, I need to give them all. Like it's not easy at all. So it took me a year to complete a book. It's not like it wasn't. It was. It's not like I wanted to take that long. I just wanted to bring out the best out there. I just wanted it to be good. I took my time, and then as I was writing the book, it was a process for me. So as I was going, I just kept on writing and writing. It was more of like a documentary. So I just
Hmm.
published. It was publishing my book. Yeah.
Publishing your book, and when was the book strong? Right, that's the title of the
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
Book
Yeah.
Strong.
Strong. Yeah.
Okay. When was it published?
It was published in 2021.
2021. Interesting.
Yeah.
And where can our viewers get the book from?
Actually, it's online. I'll try. And there's a
Is it
link
on
that I.
Amazon?
Yeah. No, it's not Amazon. I tried doing that, but it wasn't working for me that time, so I just chill. But there's a link I was shared. I just shared on the link. It's there, and there's a hard copy. Lots of hard copies. It was
Please,
more of
please, let's see. Did you have the hard copy right
Of
handy
course,
with
it's going to be here. I dropped it here. It's here.
Please, strong. Wow, by
Yeah,
Becky Obehi.
yeah.
Wow. We need to. You can share the link to getting the book, right?
All right. All
And
right.
I can display it right away. You can share it via the private chat here, and
All right.
let's recommend it to the audience. Strong.
All right.
Now that book is a documentary, but
Yeah.
it was inspired, you said, by certain traumatic experiences
Yeah.
or a certain traumatic experience. Can we talk about the inspiration, right? Then let's talk about the book. Like, what was this experience that was so strong, so to say, enough to inspire you to write a book?
All right. First of all, about the book, it's non-fiction, just about my life, documentary. My
Yeah.
mom. about my mom. It was about my mom's life, and then she passed. My mom was passed, and then afterwards, grief. Talks about grief, processes of grief, and all. So the inspiration behind it is still her. So I lost my mom in 2022. Sorry, 2020. I lost her in 2020, and losing her was it wasn't really really easy. I wouldn't even I don't know the word to use. It was terrible. It was a very
Mm.
very terrible
Sorry about
experience.
that.
Traumatic for me, you know. So during that period, I seriously, like, looking back to 2020, that very moment, if I was told that, okay, you'll be fine today, like I'll still be alive and fine today,
Mm.
I would have doubted, right? But I'm grateful to God, and I thank God that I am still here. So she was just the reason behind the book. I wrote it for her. Actually, it was more of her life, and the title was after her, right? Um, so I lost my dad when I was very very young, as at the age of 6, and we were five. Me and my siblings, we were five. So she raised us. My mom, like I said before, my mom is a teacher. So as at when I lost my dad in 2005, she was earning salary of 12,000 naira. 12,000 naira is big as at that time. So I
Mhm.
don't know how, I don't know. She raised the five of us, and we're doing very, very well today.
Mm.
So in 2020, she was ill and she passed, which was a very, very terrible experience for me. So after that period, a few months later was when I started writing for her. I just wanted the world to know her name, you know. That was just it. It was more about her. And after she passed, and my life afterwards. Yeah.
Mm. Wow. It's it's a lot to unpack here,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I hope that you have actually been able to recover from this experience, because grief is something that is very very tough
Right.
to grapple with, right? And
Mhm.
you can't put a time to when a person, you know, will be able to overcome certain trauma of grief. And even when you heal, sometimes you probably do not heal completely. And
Sure.
you get to have certain flashbacks. And
There is a saying. There is something that I learned, that I heard from a post. It says losing somebody you love is like you being shot in at your spine. Like there's a bullet in your spine. When a bullet
mm,
goes to your spine, you can take it out. It just has to be there. No, even when you do, there are still fragments of it there. You just have to learn to live with it. If you're lucky and the way you live your lifestyle and everything, you could overcome that and live longer and heal or something. But it's just there. It's just
hmm,
there. The bullet is just there, right?
wow, lots to unpack. But to start with, right? They say time heals wounds. But would you say you agree with that? Like, do you think you've been healing with time, or do you think the passage of time
I
doesn't
I I
necessarily heal?
I totally agree with that, but that comes with a lot. Time heals all one. It does, but there are scars that can't go off. The wound is there, it gets to heal, but the scar is still there. And what happens sometimes is when you have a scar and then you get to like hit it a little bit again, it's like the wound tears up all over again.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's what comes with it. Time do heal a lot of wounds, but the scar is still there. If you are not careful and you get to hit that place again where you have the scar, it tears up all over again. So yeah.
So the healing process. Let's talk about mental health, because for me, I'm a very big advocate of mental health, taking mental health seriously. I understand where we come from, Nigeria. A lot of people like to downplay the importance of mental health, but mental health is a very very important topic, especially in our own age and time. Uh,
Mhm.
a lot of people say for our parents' generation, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them tend to use religion as a solution to their mental health, challenges. But in our own age and time, we are embracing, the mental health challenges that we face, especially because, there's a lot of pressures um, compared to the kind of societal pressures that our parents, were exposed to. Would you say this experience, in any way, shape, or form, like affected your mental health, and how?
It did a lot. I don't know the word to use, but what happened messed up my head. Till today, I'm being sincere. There are still a lot of things that I am battling with. I am battling with anxiety. You know, I wouldn't say I've not healed. I've healed completely, but the anxiety is still there for the fact that at some point, then my faith was tested, right? So as at when everything was going on, when my mom was sick, she was sick for just 2 days. The illness wasn't, that she was so healthy. It wasn't like she was always sick or something. She was so healthy, it just happened all of a sudden. So it was so serious that as we prayers, we started praying. A lot of people prayed. Like the thing is, if I don't know the word to use. I wouldn't say God doesn't answer prayers. He does. He just has a reason for everything. But if prayers could have saved her, she would still be here today. So after everything and she passed, that shaking my feet a little bit, for the fact that I was like, okay, what about all of the prayers, right? What about
Mm,
all of the crying, the prayers, the begging? So just that just went. Do you get? So I wouldn't say I was angry with God. I can't say that, right? But to some extent, my faith was shaken a little bit. I was pissed at a lot of things. I just, from there I got, anxiety of no matter what you do, no matter how much you pray, there are things that are just meant to happen in life. Till
mm,
this day, the anxiety that I have is, fear of the unknown, right? My head is so messed up to the point that I don't know how to live in the moment anymore, right?
mm.
It's just that I'm just scared that okay, you could love somebody to death and to earth and they just leave, you know. A lot of things aren't permanent. We're all gonna die one day, quite all right. But there
Definitely.
are some things that are just so painful to accept. That self-realization is just hard to accept. Sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. You can take your
So
time.
so my feet was shaking a little bit and I just that's sorry. It's just the fear of, all right. So that was just it. I have anxiety and you know, having anxiety can ruin a lot of things. And anxiety has, I've lost a lot of people, a lot of good people in my life because of that. You know, if there is someone, there are good people, there are bad people, right? And then when someone could be friendship, relationship, whatsoever, the moment I get to realize that you are disturbing my peace, I'm just looking for a way to, like, cut you off. And with that, I've lost a lot of good people for the fact that nobody is perfect. We just have to accept people the way they are. And then there are sometimes that I feel like, okay, you are flawed, I am flawed too. But sometimes I just feel like, okay, your flaws, I don't want it, just stay your way. And that wasn't really that isn't really good. It's something that I am still working on. So
Hmm. It's a really, really tough one. But you talk about anxiety, and I understand that anxiety and depression sometimes, work hand in hand. At that point, would you also say that you were depressed for some
it,
time?
I don't know if I should share this here, but well, no, why not? It's in
Feel
my
free.
book. So
This is a platform for you to,
yeah,
speak
yeah,
your
sure.
truth.
Yeah, sure. So after it happened, um I just got tired of a lot of things. I have suicidal ideation and self harm. It's something that happens to you. It comes with PTSD. You know, it happens to people. It's not like it's like a feeling of you wanting to kill yourself, but you can't go through with it. It's just an idea. You're looking for a way to like harm yourself or whatever. But when everything happened, scientifically, there are some things that are said scientifically, but we really don't get to understand these things, right? So when it happened, I kind of like self harmed. I wasn't like I I had suicidal ideation. I wanted to, I don't know the word to use. I wanted to, hurt myself, just wanted to stop living, stop
Yeah,
breathing, and all of
just end it all.
that. Here, there's a scar in my hand here. I don't know if it's visible. I don't know if you can see this. There's a scar here in my hand. I just, I kind of cut myself,
Try to
cut my
cut it.
wrist. Yeah, I cut my wrist. It was a day after she passed. So I was at home, and the whole crying and shouting and all of that. I was trying. My siblings and friends were trying to console me, and then it was just serious. At some point, I think I lost myself. At some point, I started behaving in some type of way that wasn't really, really. I don't know how to explain that. So what happened was, ignorance and ignorance. It's people. I wouldn't say my siblings are ignorant, but to some extent, somebody who is grieving is not. She's not supposed to be alone. I know that now. So um with the whole attention, people were around. I was yelling and shouting and screaming. So they were asked to lock me inside. So they locked me inside a room and locked the door outside. So I was just there alone, right? So I just wanted to, like, I was numb. I was feeling, I don't know what I was feeling that period. So I just broke a mirror, and then I wanted to just end it all, right? I wanted to, and so I kind of caught myself, and so that was why I mentioned before that if I was told that I would still be here today, I wouldn't believe it, because I was very, very close to my mom. Like, we're very, very close. So, so that was how it happened. But I'm okay now. I'm good now. And I was saying about having scar, and then when you get to something happens and it tears up again. So after that was like last 2 years, something happened to my elder sister, and you know everything just came back, rushing back. It was like it was all afresh. Oh, sorry. I think it's light, and then it will be back on. I'm so sorry.
Nigeria for you. It's
Yeah,
okay.
sorry.
Nigeria will always do Nigeria.
Yeah. So is it the gen is turned on now? Sorry.
Fine.
So that was it.
You had to go through some very, very dark tunnels.
Yeah, it was. I was in a very, very dark place. You know,
Yeah.
I was. So when you said something about depression, I was, I was depressed. I was. So at some point, you know how my aunties were like, okay, I need to be prayed for this, that, and everything. This is getting too much. After as a 2021, one whole year, I was still grieving. I wouldn't say I was depressed, but I was grieving. I was going through a lot. PTSD is real.
Mm.
I still had there are still times where I had dreams of that same day. What happened that very day. Dreams.
Happening
I
over,
have the dream of the same day over and over and over again. And there are some
reliving the
things that
experience.
there are some things that I cannot to watch. There are sometimes as at then there are sometimes where I see as at before she passed, she was in a coma. She was in a coma. She couldn't breathe very, very well. Seeing her like that. So sometimes I see movies where people are in a coma, and then it just triggers something in my head, and then I'm feeling some type of way, and I don't know. But I when during that period, my uncle came back, and then he was like, I need to see somebody, get to talk to someone. Nigerians, we don't believe in something called therapy or whatsoever. Even as I then, I didn't even really believe the word therapy, seeing somebody and all of that. It was after that I really knew, getting to talk something through, seeking help, it helps, you know?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. You remember I mentioned how the older generation,
yeah,
believe more in religion as a cure to mental health, challenges. But then therapy, you did therapy, like how did that go for you?
it really helps. It really helps. So, my uncle got me to see somebody, and then I, just talked through it, and then it was good. After that period, it was like, I just moved, you know. It was like I was stuck before. I was stuck. So after that whole period, I felt a whole lot better. I felt a
Hmm.
whole lot better. So he said something of prolonged grief disorder. That was what he said. He said I had something called prolonged grief disorder, for the fact that everybody has moved on. My siblings, they are moved on and all of that. It was already a year after, and I still had flashbacks. I'm still crying. I'm still. So he said something about prolonged grief disorder. It happens, and at some point, I was, my siblings were like, "Okay, this is not good. You have to be going to church, get to pray, so that they'll pray for you." So he talked me through it, and then something that he told me was I was going to die one day. He made that
Mm,
statement. And then he was like, we are not meant to stay here forever.
exactly.
So he is going to die one day. I'm going to die one day. My siblings are going to die one day. I should just accept that. You know, it happens. It's part of life. And there is absolutely nothing I can do about it. He made that statement. And till this day, I think about that a lot. And I'm like, okay, in life, situations are bound to happen. Good, bad, it comes with life. It's part of life. It's just
Exactly.
how we react, how we respond to it afterwards that matters. Downtime are gonna come. It's just how we pick ourselves up and keep moving. It's all that matters.
Mm. Life is about ups and downs. It's pretty much a roller coaster. It's not a walk in the park. It's not a stroll in the park, right? It's never smooth sailing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
when you're up, be grateful, and when you're down, be graceful.
Right.
That's what I like to tell people. But for me, I'm a very big fan of martial arts, especially mixed martial arts, and I get to talk to a lot of fighters, right? And you see what they do is a really, really risky endeavor, right? But
Mm-hmm.
something most of them have always told me is this, right? They get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Right.
They embrace the worst possible scenario. You know, what's the worst possible that would happen if you're locked up in a cage with somebody? The person will knock you out and probably nearly snatch your soul or kill you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once you are comfortable with the idea that you can die, I think it kind of makes life, you know, a bit
Exactly.
peaceful and blissful. But it's kind of counterintuitive. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the natural instinct is to fear death, to fear
Yeah.
harm, right? But then when you embrace it, it makes you more confident as a human being. But it
You
doesn't
see,
sound normal.
yeah, you see, that's just the problem right there. I don't know. You getting to get comfortable with it. I think you just don't care anymore, which is not good. You know. So I don't really know how to process that in my head, but I'm just going with the flow. It's very, very, very difficult to process.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
prolonged grief disorder, getting comfortable with the fact that everybody would die someday, you know. Aside from that, like, are there like any other key takeaways from the therapy sessions that you are able to share?
Okay. Yeah, and then he said something about, you know, um lifestyle and all of that. And then he said something about, however, how you choose to live right now will determine later. I don't really remember a lot that was said in that section, but he said something about, lifestyle right now and then determine how your tomorrow is gonna be like. And I agree a lot with that. You know, this generation of people, we just tend to, life is short, enjoy your life and all of that. To some extent, there's a lot of harm in that. Having to
Mm,
just don't care, enjoy your life, and there's a harm to that. For the fact that we don't care what goes into our body, we don't care what we take in, we don't care what we do, for the fact that we are saying life is short. You know? And then our decision at the end of the day, it affects us tomorrow,
mm,
right?
that is
So
true.
so that's just it. So the word life is short, enjoy your life. There's a lot of, harmful sacrifice that comes with that. Having to take a whole lot of, all those party every weekend is, I'm not judging that. It's good. I party weekends. But there are people that does things out of limit. They just don't have limit for it, for the fact that they are enjoying life, living life and all of that. So he talked more about that. Yeah.
Yeah, like to allude to what you're saying, in recent time, very, very recent time, like I've been able to observe like kids, especially, I don't know why I like calling them kids, but then, teenagers, young adults, the Gen Zs basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Here in the UK. And a lot of times I really can't wrap my head around, their thought process or the kind of principles by which they are living their lives. Like a lot of them are actually into drugs. And it's mind blowing for me. Like, do you know
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing to your young body at this time?
Like,
Like, a lot of them have alcohol addiction problems. You see kids that are 13, 14, 15 already smoking, vaping. Like, you
you
have a
see,
young body.
yeah, you see that right there. So I remember there was something that we talked about. You see, people deal with pain differently, right?
Mhm,
There are some people that something happens in their life, they could either take drugs or do alcohol or smoke just to, block that part
mhm.
of it out of their brain. And the thing is, when these things wear out, you're facing
You're
reality
back.
again.
You're back to reality.
So during the period when I had a traumatic experience, you see something that they say influence is very, very important in a child's life. It is very, very important. The luck that I had then, see, I could have done anything, everything, just to shut myself out, right? The luck I had that period was I wasn't surrounded with, a lot of, people that live their life in some certain type of way. I wasn't surrounded.
Donkeys.
So
I,
if I was, I don't know how I would have. I don't know where I would have been like right now.
mm,
Although I was disciplined to understand that, okay, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, this is bad for you, but there's a limit where you can just hold on to something. Do you get?
exactly, because you're highly
Having
vulnerable at the time.
exactly, having to even decide that, okay, I don't want to live this life anymore, I want to go. If I could have gotten anything to shut that part of my head, I don't know. I don't know. So just influence. He talked about influence. He asked me if I take substance, and then I told him no. And then he just said something about influence. If I have people in my life that do a lot of these things like alcohol
Substance,
and all of that. Sorry?
substance abuse.
Yes, exactly. I should, try and stay away that it doesn't help, for the fact that You take it for temporal solution. When it's out, wears off, you're back to reality. It's like you're starting afresh again. Whatever you're trying to deviate from or trying to avoid not feeling, you get to feel it again. It's just a solution that is just temporal. So he said something like that.
Wow, again and again and again, and it's like a never-ending cycle, a
And
never-ending.
the thing is, you see how true that is. I have a friend. I don't know. I wouldn't mention name whatsoever, but I have a friend that had the same experience that I had. Lost his mom at a very young age, and then from there, from grief, he started, doing a lot of things and all of that. And I don't know. I just wish he had people in his life then that could have, helped him out, because
Mhm.
with the way he is right now, he's an addict, right? And he doesn't like the life that he's living. He doesn't like the way he is living, but he's addicted, a full addict.
Blown
Sometimes,
out.
do you know that he lost his mom before me? He lost his mom as at when we were growing up. I think he was just 16 then. He lost his mom. My mom was still alive then. My mom and his mom were very, very close friends. So he started doing all of these things. I think he lost his mom around, I don't know, I think it was around 2016, 2017. Up till now. No, not, I don't know. We haven't spoken in a long time. So as at 2022, he called me. He was crying that he wished his mom was here. He has
Mm.
not healed. This is years. Years has passed. He has not healed because he is using things to mask or block away his pains. He could just feel it once and for all, and then it's done, right? So he masks and try to block these pains away, and then when the substance goes off, he's back to reality. He cried that very day. I talked and talked and talked. I tried to advise him that he should just stop all of these things that he's doing. But right now he doesn't even talk to me anymore, and then he's a full addict, you know. And he's not proud of it, but he just can't stop it.
Yeah,
Ali, I
that's
don't
that's the thing with addiction. That's why it's called an addiction. Like it's
yeah,
something that has control over you, not you having control
exactly. Exactly.
over
Just,
that
just, ju- just
lifestyle.
going through pain once and for all. Just go through it. You go through it. It's difficult. It's hard. It's killing. You just go through it, and when you go through, it might take time, and you're done. You know,
Hmm.
you're done. So
Hmm.
that's just it.
So
A lot of
it's
people that are turned to addict today, I don't think they wanted to be like that. Something happened to them. You know. So
hmm.
yeah.
So it's actually better to face your pains, face your
Yeah.
fears once and for all, and get through with that
Mhm. Mhm.
experience.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of great people, pain has actually served as fuel to achieve like many great things. Pain sometimes, serves as, fuel for high level creativity. Let's take, for example, in art, in music, for example, some of,
Yeah.
the greatest works of art have actually been produced as a result of, a person going through pain. Um, a lot of great music has actually been produced, out of the inspiration of pain. Take, for example, Libianca, that song we were singing. I think it was like 2 years ago.
Mhm.
She sang the song. I've been drinking more alcohol for the past 5 days. Did
Yeah.
you check on me? Did you notice me? And everybody is able to just sing along, right?
Mhm.
But if you sit down to
I think the
look
lyrics.
in between the lines of
Yeah.
the lyrics of that song is born out of pain.
Right.
Look how your book strong. It's inspired
You
by
see, you see
pain.
that right there is just true. Sorry to cut you short. Please go on.
It's inspired by pain. Like, what do you think? Like, you now think pain is both a good and a bad thing, given the kind of inspiration that it gives you, right, to achieve certain high level creativity, because certain levels of productivity and creativity will never be attained if not for that pain, right? But you have been able to find means to channel it, to repurpose it, and use it to produce something
Yeah.
that makes your generation proud of you. But like, how does it add up for you? Like, how do you
You
make it
see,
make sense?
that right there is just an amazing thing. So you see that you've definitely heard of the word when life throw you lemons, make lemonade out of it, and
Make
all of that.
lemonade.
So you see, like I was saying before, pain it's part of life. When it happens to you, what it how you choose to put yourself back up, it's what matters. You see, this book right here, when I was writing, I was just writing, right? But this book has actually, I would say my name has been, said, like my name has been talked or spoken about in rooms where I can't even be in. So as at 2021, when I published, I made my first million ever. When I was publishing, I didn't even have 100,000 naira in my account. When I
Wow.
published, I didn't even use my money, no, my whole full money to publish. I was just looking for support. Okay, I want to publish my book. Can you help me out with this? I gathered the money together and then I published and I made my first million. I didn't even think I was going to make money out of it. I
Mhm.
published first and then got sold out and then I published more. I thought it was more of a hard copy. A lot of people don't really do online stuff. The link was more of like people that were not in Nigeria. There are some books that I sent out from Nigeria here to outside, US, UK. You get hard copy, right? So during that period, I was just writing. I was just okay, let me just write this. And then it came out and then it was just wow. When I published, the company that published my book, they do the editing and everything.
Mhm.
When they edited, I got a call from them that they edited my book and they read through. They think that my story is amazing, that if I would like to like, sell out right out there and all of that. I said it was amazing. And then they offered me a job, you know,
Wow.
to write people's biography and all of that. But that was when I was still in school then. I told you I was still in school when I was writing. But immediately after I graduated was when I published the book. So already I was going to move to Abuja for a job. I could have taken that one, but the pay was different. The one in Abuja here was a lot bigger than that one. So I could have
If you
taken
don't make
that.
money, it don't make sense.
So they offered me a job, which was so amazing, you know, and it was just good. I got a lot of sponsors and everything, and a lot of people bought. Like I said, I made my first million. I didn't have 100,000 naira in my account when I was writing, you know. So that really kicked off for me a whole lot, and I'm really really grateful, And you know, till now, a lot of people still talk about my book. There are sometimes because there's a phone number of me here. Sometimes I get random calls. I just read your book. I think it's amazing. I think this and everything. A lot of talks and all of that. So I'm really, really grateful. So when life throws everything at you, what matters is how you choose to get up, what you choose to do with your pain. You know, I could have, I could have do all of the wrong things in the world, right? I could have do a lot of terrible things, but I choose. It was just God. It was just God, but I
Hmm.
choose this. You know,
Hmm.
I choose this. Everything is just a choice, and it takes. I'm not saying people that things happens to and choose a different path to, react to it. I'm not saying they are weak. It's not a default, you know. But still, never ever too late to retrace your step back and just be on the right track. Yeah,
Interesting. Wow. I don't know. Do you like comedy?
yeah, I do.
You like comedy? You know,
Mhm.
something was actually playing in my head. Just on a lighter note, when you were like, "Oh, could have done like a lot of crazy stuff, right? There's this comedy skit I usually see on Instagram and TikTok, right? And I think it became like really viral, where
Mm-hmm.
there was a guy that was being interviewed, and he said, "Oh, I could have killed a lot of people." You're- I could have
I
killed a
remember, I
lot.
remember, I know what you're talking about. I don't know.
Yeah, so you could have killed a lot of people, right?
I could
But
have see, I could have done all the whole terrible things in this world. I could have done a lot. But
yeah, very
everything still comes down to discipline. Like I told
true.
you before, as grown as I am, I stay alone. There are some things that I still wouldn't dare to do because my brain has been programmed to this. You see, there are some things that we see as normal, in this generation. Although it's not okay, but we have normalized it. Some that okay, it's totally okay, it's part of life. But I still like my age range do. I still wouldn't dare to do. There are some times that
Your age range. How old are you?
I'm 25.
Wow, interesting. So you're
Yeah,
just like at the sort of beginning of the Gen Z generation.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But what's your take on the characteristics and the trends of the Gen Zs? Like what's your take on the generation, on your
See,
generation? I am a millennial.
okay. So the thing is, I would say, if I wasn't warned or told about the word life is short, enjoy your life, I would say that. I would make that statement right now. Life is short, enjoy your life. But with the way things are going right now, it is not good. I just I can't stop but just imagine what 10 years, 15 years from now will be like for a lot of people in this generation. you know there are a lot of people that will have the result of what they are doing right now in the what's 15 years is far. In the next 5 years, 5 to 10 years, a lot. you know so the thing is, I would just say, enjoy your life, do whatever makes you happy. But at the end of the day, make sure that whatever you are doing that is making you happy is not something that you would regret with time. You know, doing what makes you happy doesn't have to be alcohols or drugs or a lot of things. There are 1,001 things that you could do that will make you happy. It's just that we don't look at that direction. We feel like partying and doing a lot of wrong decisions are what bring happiness, but it is not. You know, that's what I can
Wrong
say.
choices. Uh, I went to somewhere one day and I saw a writing on the wall, and it said, "Wrong choices make good stories."
Ah, ah.
Wrong choices make interesting stories,
You
right?
see, it's good. It's good. It's good. I think I understand that. The thing is, it's good. I don't want to be the kind of person
So
that tells
sorry, the
stories
person
that.
said bad choices make good stories. Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
was written
yeah,
on
I
the
get
wall.
that part.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be the kind of person that tells stories like, please don't do what I did, though. I did this. I did that. I don't want to be that kind of a person. People could be there to say, oh, I live this kind of life. It wasn't good. I don't want to be that kind of a person. I want to be looking at 10 years from now and I'm like, oh, yes, thank you, God. I lived well. you know I don't want to be the person with the bad things and stories to tell. I don't want to tell my kids that kind of story.
Stories that touch, right?
Yes, I don't want to tell stories that much.
Hmm.
Right.
So, like, looking at, you are now a writer, you're a published author, right? Are you looking to like publish more books into the future?
I've been working on something since after I published. I
Okay.
haven't just been able to publish a new one yet because I told you before, it takes time.
Yeah,
If
it
I didn't
does. It
take
does
my
take time.
time on if I didn't take my time on this, I don't think it would have gotten far.
Mm.
I took all the whole time that I needed. You know, I could just write something a day. The thing is about me is I do have a lot of ideas. I write spoken words too, articles and poems and all of that. I could be in the bathroom and then I think about something. Oh, okay. I just get my phone. I just write it down. That's how I do every day. I don't just sit down to be like, okay, I want to write something big today. I just take it very very, very slow. And I will definitely publish one day again because I love writing. I think it's part of me. As when I was very, very small, then in church, very small, like 5 years, I'll take my, and then I'm reciting poems and Bible verses and everything. Some that I've written, some that I memorized, and all of that. So I think it's part of me, and I think I have a lot of ideas in my head that I want to share to the world, and with time, that will happen. So yes, I will.
Fantastic. Fantastic. For your poems, like I love poems, right? I love art.
Hmm.
For me, I love any form of art. I love music. I love spoken word. I like
Right.
literature. I like paintings. I like any form of art in any form. I appreciate art. But speaking of poetry, do you have like any journal or any, yeah, or blog or something where some of your poetry work is easily accessible
I
to the
I
public?
had, as at then, I was just limited, and then I didn't have anybody to really put me through when it comes to like social media, posting all these things online. Do you get? Then I grew up with hurdles and struggles. I didn't really have fun. I didn't even have fun as at then. So all of these spoken words were done in church. I told you I was a church girl. We're done in church, all of it. So youth programs, Sunday service, I just have spoken words, and then I'm out there recite it. It's not much that I put out there online. And I had some online, but after I lost my mom, I told you my faith was shaken. So I just put everything down. I went off social media, just I don't know, I just did a lot of things, went off social media and everything. So I deleted a lot of things, but there are some that are written down that I think they're talking about it right now. I think I'll do that. Just put it online. I think
Exactly,
it's
because I would love to see your work, the poetry. If I can just reach, one of them, and I love poems. Basically, I love poems. Even here in London, whenever I am on the train, the TFL, that's our transport for London. They have this culture of putting certain poems, you know,
Mhm.
yeah, on the trains, and it's really really nice. When you go to museums as well, there are
Mhm.
some poetry works that on the art world as well. You never know, and in this age and time, you never know how far your work could go. It's always good to
Right,
just publish it, put it out there.
right, right.
You
I'll
get
I'll
it.
do that.
Yes,
Thank you very
and
much.
definitely, well, as a published author yourself, right? There are some calls you get from some parts of the world sometimes, and then you be like, oh, how is it that people are consuming my work from this part of the world?
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
sometimes mind blowing. I think I give an example. At some point, I discovered that my podcast was on the top 100 in its category in South Africa, for example.
Nice.
Like, I'm a Nigerian living in the United Kingdom. Like,
Mhm.
how come South Africans,
Yeah.
enjoying and consuming this work? So that's the beauty of the global village that we live in,
True.
currently. you know your work is actually accessible
Mhm.
to different people. Sometimes I see the analytics and then I see some people watching from Russia and from India, and
Right.
I'm like, oh, excuse me, what is happening here? Like I really love to see your work out there. And of course, congratulations on the one that you have out. And I'll make I'll make an effort to lay my hands on the strong hard copy, to read it. And of course, I'd love for everyone that is watching this to actually, grab a copy of this book and read it.
Sure.
Strong by Becky Obehi. I strongly recommend Strong. Please, can you display the book again on the so let's see what it looks like, right? Yeah,
It's
Strong.
not so bulky. Within 2 hours, you're done reading.
Oh
Not
wow,
so.
fantastic. Fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastic. So, like outside of the world of writing, designing, like what are your personal hobbies and interests?
Ooh, art, photography. I am good with taking pictures. I do it for like a hobby right now. So I have an Instagram page where I just take pictures and then I post there. I am always making videos and taking pictures when I go out. The sun could just be out and then okay, the sun is beautiful today. I take a picture. I love
On
photography.
Instagram. So
Yeah.
work is on Instagram.
Sorry. Sorry.
You said a lot of photography.
Sorry. It was breaking. I didn't get that.
You said a lot of your photography work is on Instagram, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what is this work?
It's Becca Shots. Becca Shots.
That is, can you spell that, please?
BECCA
B
underscore
E O C A
A
underscore
underscore underscore shots SHOTX.
SHOTS.
I don't know.
Becca
There's a lot of. I
underscore
think it's more of people for
Becca
people.
Franco.
Sorry.
Wow, I can't see it. BECCA underscore SHORTS.
I think another
Is that
underscore.
the underscore? What? I cannot seem to see. Probably I just display my screen and
Probably it's
let's
because it's a small account and there's not a lot of engagement in it yet. You know.
on it yet. Okay. I'd have loved to like present
Yeah.
some of your work, to the audience to see, but then I can't even I can't see, I seem to see right now. But okay, like we started with styling, and delved into like a lot in this interview. But to start with, let me drill you a bit. For everybody, like people get to know them with certain things, right? But
Hmm.
everybody tends to have, certain hidden skills, hidden talents that people do not really know about. So for you, what would you say, you know, is that skill or that ability that you have that people don't really know about?
I think it's singing. Although
Oh
I don't
wow.
really, I don't really have the voice for it anymore. I was in a choir. I was a chorister in church. I did a lot of singing, so I think it's singing. But none of my friends have heard me sing before. It's just
Oh
there.
wow.
It's just something that I just. ah.
So you only sing in the bathroom nowadays.
What?
So you only sing in the bathroom nowadays.
Oh yes, that's when my voice is nicer and loud.
why, why does everybody do
I'm
bathroom?
a full professional soprano in the bathroom. Seriously.
Whoa, interesting, interesting. I hope we get to see you sing someday. Whoa, if not, I'll put you on the spot and say, okay, sing a song for us. But
No,
I
please,
guess
please. I only said please, please,
I see,
please.
I, I see. Wow, but what advice do you have for young people, up and coming people who would like to be in business, who would like to be stylists, young people generally, like what advice do you have for them?
Okay, okay. In terms of business, I'm sure a lot of people do hear a lot of advice, but in terms of life, I don't think we hear advice enough in terms of life. One thing I would say is whether you make a good decision, you make a bad decision, bad things are tend to happen. I'm not saying which are going to happen, might happen. It will. It's part of life. It's something that we should accept. There is a book I've read. It said subtle art of not giving. I don't know if I can say the F word.
Yeah, given an F, I read that book
Yeah, yeah.
myself.
I
The
think it's
subtle
that book is
art.
highly. I recommend that book. When you read that book, your idea about life, I think it just changed a little bit. You get to it's realization. Getting to realize something is one important thing. You get, okay, it happens, okay, no problem. This happened, okay, no problem. We move on. This happened, okay, no problem. We move on. Bad things will happen, tend to happen. What matters is how you choose to pick yourself up and keep going. That's it.
Well
You
said.
know, like I was saying, they say where life throws you lemon, make lemonade. It is very true. Whatever life throws at you, do something good with it. See, you know this word they will say, life is a B word, right? It is. Sometimes there are things that happen that we do not deserve, you know, and a lot of bad things happen to good people mostly. So just live the best life that you can. Just try and make good decisions. It is very difficult sometimes, but try and make good
Okay,
decisions. You know, that's it.
interesting. So, looking at inspirations in society, are there black women, in the global society that you would say inspire you? Who are those black women, at the global stage from anywhere in the world that inspire you as a person?
No, none. The only person that was inspiring me was my mom, and now that
Wow.
she is still, I just, my mom was, sorry to bring it back again, but she was
Mhm.
everything. So people call me jack of all trades, you know. So
Master
apart
of
from
some.
fashion, sorry,
I said master of some.
maybe, yes, exactly, that's the word. That's the word. So apart from digital marketing, I do digital marketing. I do that sometimes, graphic designs and all of that. I help people handle social media accounts, fashion designing, and then I'm a makeup artist. So
Wow,
makeup artist,
that is
that's just part of it. Yeah, I learned that. I was working with that at some point, but I just feel like it's a lot of stress with little money, little income. So that one was that one was aside. So now this photography. And sometimes, when I started this photography, it was just more of like a hobby. I was just doing it, but with time I started getting, DMs that how much do you charge for photography? And I am making little money from there. I take pictures with my phone, edit them and send out. People do that a lot. So I'm making money from there too. Making money from
wow.
makeup, and then my fashion brand a whole lot. So my mom was just all of this. My mom was handling a lot of business. She was a civil servant. She had poultry. She had a very, very big poultry. We had a restaurant, and then she was just running all of this business at the same time.
Wow.
And she was making good money.
That is a lot.
You
That
know?
is a lot, right?
My mom was, I would say she was rich, you know. She was
Billions.
doing very, very well. So I'm looking up to her. I'm still looking up to her, that even now that she has passed, I just want to be her, you know.
Okay, so at the end of the pod, right, we have a tradition wherein the current guest leaves a question for the next guest to answer. And
Okay.
yeah, so definitely somebody has left a question for you to answer.
Okay.
And, and that question is, in your career, what would you have liked to do differently?
What would I want to do differently?
Yeah, like what would you have liked to do differently so far, like in your career? What would it be if you were to do something differently? What would that be?
Uh, I don't know if it makes sense. I think music. I love music a lot. You
Oh,
know,
wow. Everybody
I love
wants to be a
I love
music
music.
star.
You see, everything that I am doing is music. So my friends think that I am annoying because of that. You know, I could be brushing my teeth, music. I could be cooking, music, whatever, music. Just love it. I could go into music if I really wanted to go into that. Singing, be an artist, all of that.
Wow, interesting, interesting. So before I let you leave a question for the next guest, right? So
Mhm,
introducing this guessing game, right? So there's a website called top10s.com, right?
mhm.
So you have top 10 everything, top 10
I didn't get that. Sorry, it was breaking.
the
It's
top.
still breaking. Still breaking.
Okay, so I said, guessing. So you are meant to guess correct answers within a top 10 quiz, right? So there's a website called the top10s.com, right? So
Mhm, mhm.
here, 10 high tech countries, that is the countries that are most advanced in terms of technology, right? So
Mhm.
we have a top 10.
It's still breaking. It's still breaking. It's just cracking.
Oh wow, Nigeria is Nigerian.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Okay, okay, that's fine. But are you able to hear me clearer now?
I can hear you clearly now. I can hear you clearly now.
Okay, okay. So we're introducing this guessing game, right? So
Mhm.
where you are meant to guess as many correct answers, right, within a
Okay.
top 10 quiz, right?
Yeah.
So for
Okay.
example, I could give you the top 10 countries, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
By population in the world, and probably you try to guess what countries those are,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
But right here on this quiz is the top 10 most high tech countries. That is the top 10 most high technology countries. Like,
Okay.
what countries do you think are rated as the high tech countries in the world?
China.
So what countries do
China.
you think would likely feature on that list?
China.
So number one,
Ah, it's still breaking. Can you hear me?
did you catch what I said? I can hear you. I can hear you well. I can hear you real well.
I said
You
China, and
mentioned
then I didn't hear anything else. China.
okay, okay. You mentioned China. I said China is number
Yeah.
6 on the list.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So
So what other country would you like? Yeah, you're on points. You don't have that list in front of you, but then you're able to guess. A country. Give me another country you think will feature on the top 10.
okay, I think United States. I would say that I'm just guessing. Apart from China, I don't really
United States of
know. Hmm.
America.
Ah,
That is on the list. Give me another.
sorry.
I said, give me another country. United States is number 2 on the list.
Number two. Oh, nice. Okay. Korea. I've said Korea.
Korea. South Korea is number 3.
Oh, nice. So, should I say name more?
Yeah, give us more. Give us more.
India. India.
Wow, India is number 4 on the list. You're doing well. You're doing well. Okay.
So more?
So, what other country are you gonna give
Uh,
us more? So,
uh, I don't think of any more. I don't think of any other
you,
one. I can't guess any other
wow,
one.
you can't guess any other one.
Mm-mm.
Uh, the country I'm talking to
Sorry.
you.
Ah, it's been
uh,
breaking.
whoa, crazy. So that's the reason why Nigeria is not on the list.
It can't be on the list, please. It can't even be. It can't be on the list. If you had told
Nigeria-
me that Nigeria was on the list, I would have what is the
You'll be annoyed, right?
I
Okay,
might get angry. I might be
okay.
upset at
Let
this.
me let me let me let me just present the list to you. Give me a moment. I can present share screen. Okay, let's look at the list. There we go. So number one is Japan. Number two is United
Okay.
States. Number three is South Korea.
Mm,
Four is India. Number five is Germany. Number six is China.
right.
Number seven, United Kingdom. Eight, Israel. Number nine, France.
France, Singapore.
Yeah. So there you go. So, what question would you like to leave for the next guest to answer?
Okay. Um, I would say okay, looking at 5 to 10 years from now, where do you see yourself?
5 to 10 years from now. Oh wow! Thank God I'm not the next guest. But this is 2024, right? So in 5 years from now, I see myself in 2029.
yeah. 5 years from now,
Yeah,
2029.
yeah, that's where I see myself. I see myself in
Oh,
2029.
please, please.
Wow. So from me
Yeah,
to you, it's a very, very, big thank you for uh taking time out of your busy schedule to, grace this interview. I am very, very, very grateful. But before we let you go, do you have anybody you would like to give a shout out to before we say goodbye?
oh, okay. I didn't see that one coming. Oh, okay, I
They'll
want you guys to
never
continue.
see me coming. Oh, coming. Ugbe
I
one
don't
is
like
coming.
as you're
Niger boy, where
mentioning
they go for it. They go for it. Oh, shit, Mr. Money. You see, I'm
okay.
also talented and singing like you.
Can I give shout out to like generally to like people,
Yeah,
just people
anybody,
name? Oh,
anybody,
okay.
anybody.
I'm giving a shout out to all my friends out there. My
Uh,
friends, y'all know yourself.
you're,
So I
you're,
don't
you're
know.
being
Let's not be
diplomatic
like
here.
I'm picking favorites. I'm not picking favorites. I have amazing people in my life, and
Oh,
big shout
wow.
out to you all. I love you all, and you guys have been part of my life, has brought me this far, and I am grateful that I have you all in my life. Thank you all, my friends. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you very much, Becky Obehi. And from
Welcome.
me, it is peace out. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. This was amazing. I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much.
Okay, cheers.
All right. Bye.